Hello guys, welcome back at my channel. I'm your Chestnut Fairy and I'm very happy that you're back with me. Today we will gonna offend some Disney fans. I know, please stay calm. A lot of people love Disney and as a child I loved them also. I mean, Disney princesses are something very magical. However, when I got older I realized Disney princesses lose their spirit. What I mean with that is that these fairy tales are based on real fairy tales from my country or the neighbor countries, from France and Germany, Austria. So a lot of fairy tales that Disney took are actually from my region, and Disney just stripped out the culture, the locations, the persons behind the fairy tales and just made a cookie cutout of them. So it's a little bit sad, and the most thing that makes me sad are the dresses. They all look like they're from the same period, even though they try to sometimes make them more look medieval. However, you see the spirit of the 50s till 80s in there. So this is why I thought, let's offend Disney and Disney fans and bring back how the people could actually look like. I will note that I am not a professional. I am 18 and I do this as my hobby. I cannot say this is an exact look how they probably look like. However, I can tell you that these things are far more historically accurate than the Disney version. So let's start. The first one we will draw is Snow White. Came out in the beginning of the 50s, and you can see this exactly in the two dresses that she has. At first I thought I kind of was stupid or imagined it, but she actually has a second dress, which is her commoner or poor version outfit when she flees to the dwarves, to the tiny people, and she wears this outfit, and I think I will draw her in this version because we will always see this glamour lifestyle portrayed, and I think we need to look at how people would really have looked like. However, Snow White, or as we call her in Germany, Schneewittchen or Schneeweißchen, is based on two real life persons. The first one is not very much known about. However, I also wanted to mention that there is not only one person but two, and the second one has a very long name, but was a gracious lady that lived in the 18th century. Her name was Maria Sophia Margarete Katharina von Erthal. She was born in Bavaria, and this is where I base her dress off. As I said, I wanted to make a commoner outfit for her, even though Maria von Erthal was pretty rich because her dad owned a mirror manufacturer. So this is where the real story starts, and also there are a lot of elements that are in the brother
As I said,
Grimm's
she was
fairy
born
tale
in the
that
18th
Disney
century.
took
To be exact, she was born in
kinda based it on.
1725.
So let's
Now,
start with
in
painting
Disney's
hair.
story, I think I heard she was 14. However, when Maria's real mother died and she got a stepmom, she was 18. Her stepmother was seen as domineering and unjustly, so I think we see the inspiration behind the bad stepmom. Also, something very important is, as I said, that she was the daughter of a mirror producer, and she owned a mirror with the text Amor propre, which means self-love. Which is also very interesting is that the mirror kind of talked, so even if it has just a text, it was kind of a symbol of a speaking mirror because the mirror spoke for itself. What also is interesting about her is that she lived in a castle near 7 mountains and the Spessart woods that were nearby. This region was also known for mining, and a lot of people worked there that was probably shrunken from the hard work, so this is where the small people could have come from. In general, this fairy tale probably is very old. As I said, her life changed when she became 18 and her stepmom came into her life, so I guessed her clothing must be from the 1740s or 50s, and I tried to find something regional. I found some Bavarian folkswear that was kinda from the region where Maria lived. To be honest, there are a lot of different variations in Bavarian or in general German folkswear. Even though I know you only know the dirndl, there are so many more that are so beautiful. So she probably, when she would have worn a commoner clothing, she would have worn something from her region. The most drastic change would have probably been her hair. She wouldn't have a cute short bob. She would have long hair, however, would have tied it into a bun and would have worn a hat. There are different variations, from a bonnet that a lot of people know, but a softer version, to a very specific thing I cannot even name. She would have worn something like that, and because she was a little bit younger, I also added a bow for her. I've seen it in a portrait of a younger child, but I think it would be a good reference to the real Snow White that we see in the Disney version. And also she will wear a pair of stays, or Mieder as we call it in Germany, which will help support her upper bust and also make her appear a little bit smaller. She would have worn a long and puffy blouse and a voluminous skirt. The skirt is very important. You will probably have a petticoat and it will fall in an A-line. However, it is not as flat as we see it in Snow White's Disney version. She would also have an apron. I think she would have worn leather shoes, not these big wooden shoes she has worn in the movie. Another important thing is that even though commoners wouldn't have that much money, a lot of Bavarian folkswear has a lot of colors. Green, red, blue are very common, so it is not usual to have only brown as a color, which is why I decided to bring back her princess dress colors, and I will dye her clothing blue and yellow, but also make the Mieder black because it is more often seen in a lot of traditional wear. Now let's compare the Snow White I drew with the Snow White we know as the Snow White now, aka the Disney version. Quick note before the comparison, I realized that they based Snow White off another girl. To be honest, the other girl that was not as known, which is called Margareta von Waldeck. She was born in the medieval time and she died with 21 through poisoning. However, there are two persons, and even though Margareta was a little bit younger, she still wasn't 14. I didn't find a portrait of her, but it still doesn't make any sense how they choose to design her dress to make it look more medieval. What you must know about German royalty is that a lot of them dress still in folkswear because smaller rich people didn't have the money for pompous dresses. As example, Anna von Kleve, when she arrived to King Henry, she also wore her folkswear because the people couldn't afford it. So she probably have worn more high quality and better fabrics. However, she would have worn still a commoner outfit, folkswear outfit, I don't know how to say it. But let's get back to compare these two outfits to each other. To be honest, I think it's a mixture of the beginning of the 50s fashion and the late 40s. And I think they mix teenager fashion because in their case Snow White is a very young lady, and young adult clothing. What we can see are the puff sleeves that are very trendy, and also her collar was probably very trendy at the time. You can see there are puff sleeves and the collar, and also something very important is the A-line skirt that every 40s and 50s dress has. I think her shoes are the most thing that scream 1950s. I don't know why, but these pump shoes, they have a certain look. I think her hair could be a 1940s hairstyle. There are a lot of short bobs or shorter hairstyle, which was probably easier to manage when you work and have a job to do. So, are you ready to see the final result of my Snow White or Schneeweißchen? The next Disney princess we will try to redesign is Cinderella, or as we call her in the original, Aschenputtel. The fairy tale is also from the Grimm brothers, however there's an older version back from the 17th century and it's French, so I based this outfit on French fashion at the time. To be exact, it is a fashion statement from 1690. But what would have Cinderella worn at the time? The first thing she would need is a mantua. I hope I said it correctly. It is French and means mantle, and was an overgown or robe that was typically worn over the stay stomacher or the coordinating petticoat. The mantua hung from the shoulders to the floor and started off as a female version of the man's bannion, worn for under the dress wear. Gradually, it developed into a draped and pleated dress and eventually evolved into a dress worn looped and draped over a contrasting petticoat and stomacher. In the 90s, the mantua covered the shoulders, often having the appearance of a jacket closed down to the front, usually with a stomacher. The stomacher was often decorated as previously with leather of bows down to the front, but also with metallic laces, and they also loved jeweled bodice ornaments. They got crazy with ruffles, with bows, so at this time, the more the better was the most fashion statement that a lady could have. The shape at the time was very linear and vertical, and the mantua gave the most of the effect, but also the headdress that you will see here presented. It is called a fontange and is a tall wire frame attached with tiers of lace, ribbons and ruffles, and the lace tower could be quite vertical, but also sometimes tilted in front to quite a surf angle. Fontanges appear constantly in fashion prints, you can see them so often, but sometimes women choose not to wear them in portraits, perhaps sensing that the trend would die. A few women, however, were painted wearing fontages. Even though I am not the biggest fan of the fontange, I kind of think it's cute. I'm more of the bonnet person, to be honest. I love the late 19th century bonnets, and they are so cute and adorable and lacy and ruffly, and these kind of things are a little bit strange but also charming. I think they are very good for the time. For the hair, I decided to... The hair was also very interesting. I saw a lot of portraits where they added lace or pearls like I did, and they also went crazy with this one. But funny enough, like in the Cinderella Disney version, we can see that they tied their hair up and had a very fluffy hairstyle and sometimes had a curly lock on one side. Let's go to the coloring. In this case, it was a little bit difficult to paint her colors because I wanted to keep the essence of the Disney dresses, and as I said, I wanted to keep the colors. However, in this case, the mantua often had contrasting colors, in this case blue and yellow. I saw a lot of them, and I saw red and yellow, or red and blue, or yellow and blue, so I realized that I had to change a few things. Also, in the original, the dress is not a light blue, instead it is silver. I saw also a lot of silver brocade fabrics. However, a lot of people only now Cinderella's dress as blue, and in the marketing it also became blue, so I didn't go with the silver theme, even though I made her belt silver just for this case, and also some elements like the pearls a little bit more silver toned to give regards to the old version of her dress. And then I started to give it yellow elements, like I said. I think it was better with her yellowish hair color to use yellow as a contrasting color. I also gave her a pearl necklace, pearl earrings, and gave her gloves, as well as a fan. I think the fan was very important for flirting at a ball with the prince. I mean, they even had a secret language that people could speak at a ball, because you couldn't be that honest at the time. So if you wanted to see the cute guy, you need to be a little bit more secretive. Let's go to her shoes. You will see them just a little bit in this picture. However, the shoes were a very important thing at the time because they were personalized. So it is no wonder that the prince looked for the shoe and the owner of this beautiful, unique thing, because they were made for the person who wore them. So it was obvious that it wouldn't fit anyone as well as Cinderella. And these shoes were decorated as the owner wanted. Now let's compare the Disney version with my version. While doing my research, I found this photo of a vintage sewing pattern which portrayed a 1950s or 1940s prom dress. And I think you can see how similar these two things are. The A-line dress, the bodice, and also the sleeves, the colors, they are so similar. So I think you can see once again that Cinderella is a thing of her time, but she is beautiful as always. Her hair is in a high updo, just as mine. However, it also screams 1950s. You can see that there are a lot of versions how to style your hair depending on the length. I guess she has mid-length hair when you see her loose hair in some scenes. It is not that long, however, it is also not short, so we can guess she could have the chance to style it perfectly with different ways. All in all, the dress is beautiful. I wish they had kept the silver color scheme because it's so unique. A lot of Disney princesses have pastel colors, and silver was so outstanding and unique and could have been so cute. So it's a little bit sad that we forgot the silver version that was shiny and glittery. But in the end, as I said, it's beautiful, it is cute, it is amazing, and also Snow White's dress is adorable. And with that, I think we are ready to see how the end product of this Cinderella, or as we call it in Germany, Aschenputtel version looks like.
I am so happy how these two oh, this is the third one I painted. These two turned out. You will see a little explanation of her maybe in another video. But so far, I think these two characters look kind of similar to the Disney versions, and I hope you like this video and aren't too mad about redesigning very cool characters with me. I just think we need some originality back and not always take things from your time. Just look at the inspiration behind dresses from older times and enjoy painting. Tell me before you leave which one is your favorite. I would be very interested to hear. This one is, as I said, Aschenputtel or Cinderella. This one is Snow White, and this one will be Rotkäppchen or Little Red Riding Hood. You will hear about her later. Stay magical as always. See you soon. Your Chestnut Fairy.